The whispers started quietly, underscore like a distant echo through the palace halls. But now, they're impossible to ignore. Confirmed reports from the inside have shattered the calm, and suddenly, all eyes are on Windsor. Because something is happening, something the royal family has managed to keep under wraps. Until now. At the center of it all, Adelaide Cottage, that picturesque, storybook home nestled just a stone's throw from the castle itself. Once a sanctuary, now a symbol of secrecy and speculation. Why are royal insiders murmuring about a potential move? Why is the very future of this residence, once seen as permanent, now being called into question? Is it a quiet retreat or the epicenter of a royal reshuffling? Because let's be clear, this isn't just about a house. It's about a seismic shift in the future of the monarchy itself. Underscore, and it's already begun. For years, they lived in the spotlight, not just as royals, but as the picture of stability within a world that so often feels anything but. Prince William and Catherine, the Princess of Wales, along with their 3 young children, George, Charlotte, and Louis, have long been seen as the future of the monarchy, the golden family, the steady hands, the hopeful next chapter. They lived at Kensington Palace, steeped in grandeur, surrounded by history, but shadowed by the constant presence of the public eye. And then, in the summer of 2022, they made a decision that raised more than a few royal eyebrows. They left. They quietly packed up their lives and relocated to Adelaide Cottage, a far more modest residence nestled in the private home park of Windsor Castle. A 4-bedroom house with no live-in staff, no sweeping halls, no lavish wings. To many, it looked like downsizing. But for those who looked closer, it was something far more deliberate. It was a choice, a move not for status, but for sanctuary. At the time, the reasons were painted in soft tones. The children's new school, Lambrook, was just a short drive away. Windsor offered more privacy, more green space, more normalcy. And, importantly, it brought them closer to the late Queen Elizabeth II during her final months. But still, it was unusual. This was the Prince and Princess of Wales, not stepping up, but stepping back, trading marble for brick, royal quarters for cottage walls. It wasn't just logistics. It felt emotional. It felt like a quiet sacrifice. Behind closed doors, many believed it was Catherine's desire for her children to have something she never did, a childhood out of the headlines. To play, to grow, to be safe. At first, the media was cautiously supportive. The family was rarely seen in public. William drove the school run. Kate walked the dog. They were, for a fleeting moment, something more than royal. They were real. But soon, the questions began to creep in. Was this really permanent? Was the cottage ever meant to be their long-term home? Or was it always just a stepping stone, a well-timed escape from the pressures of the palace too close to the throne? Because now, with whispers growing louder, it seems the move to Adelaide Cottage may have never been the end of the story. Only the beginning. To understand the choices William and Catherine have made, you have to look beyond the titles, beyond the eras, the ceremonies, the photographs. You have to look at who they are when no one's watching. Catherine grew up in a loving, middle-class family. Carol and Michael Middleton gave her what every child deserves: stability, warmth, and the freedom to be a child. There were no flashing cameras outside the school gates, no bodyguards waiting at the playground. Just home, just normal. And it's that sense of grounded, ordinary love that Kate has carried into her role as both princess and mother. William, too, knows the ache of stolen childhood. He watched his mother, Princess Diana, be hounded by photographers, chased through traffic, consumed by headlines. He was only 15 when she died. That kind of trauma doesn't fade, it lingers. It shapes everything, especially when you're raising children of your own. So when George, Charlotte, and Louis were born, William and Kate didn't just want to protect them from the media. They wanted to rewrite the royal parenting playbook. No more nannies raising the children from separate wings. No more distant duty over present parenting. They were determined to raise their children themselves, to be there for school runs, bedtime stories, scraped knees, and Sunday breakfasts. And Adelaide Cottage became the heart of that vision. Sources close to the couple have quietly shared how life at the cottage was refreshingly simple. Kate would cook family meals herself, Roast chicken was a favorite. William, often in jeans and trainers, did the morning drop-off. The children played in the gardens, explored the nearby woods, and rode their bikes without a wall of cameras waiting just beyond the gate. They weren't royal heirs in that space. They were just kids. But there was another layer, too. The location of Adelaide Cottage, just moments from Windsor Castle, meant they could be near Queen Elizabeth II in her final chapter. Kate was said to have been especially close to Queen, who quietly mentored her in the ways of royal life. Being nearby allowed for more frequent visits, more quiet moments that the public never saw. Time that, now, feels immeasurably precious. So when they chose that trees and tight-lipped aids became something of a forgotten curiosity in the royal landscape. But then, Prince George turned 12, and everything changed. It started innocently enough, a birthday portrait released by the palace, as they do every year. But this one felt different. George wasn't the chubby-cheeked toddler the public remembered. He was growing fast, tall, poised, eerily resembling his father at the same age. And suddenly, the questions came flooding back. He's nearly a teenager now. Are they really still in that tiny cottage? 4 bedrooms? 5 royals and no live-in staff? Doesn't add up. Tabloids pounced. Speculation exploded across headlines and timelines alike. Had the family already moved? Were they planning a shift behind closed doors? And then came the whispers about Fort Belvedere, a striking, secluded estate tucked away in Windsor Great Park, grand, historic, and controversial, because Fort Belvedere isn't just another royal property. It's a residence where King Edward VIII signed his abdication papers in 1936, giving up the throne for Wallace Simpson and plunging the monarchy into chaos. The building has sat in the shadows ever since, largely untouched, steeped in whispers of scandal and exile. So when rumors surfaced that William and Catherine were considering a move there, the symbolism was impossible to ignore. Was it a quiet reclamation of a disgraced chapter in royal history? A signal of change, of rewriting the past? Or something more strategic? A calculated shift to a home better suited to a future king? Royal watchers lost their minds. Online forums lit up overnight. If they're really moving to Fort Belvedere, that's huge. What message are they trying to send? It's haunted with scandal. Why go there unless you're trying to erase the old narrative? This can't just be about space. It's political. It's monarchical chess. Twitter spiraled into frenzy. Some cheered the idea as a bold evolution of tradition. Others accused a couple of hypocrisy, preaching modesty while preparing to move into a sprawling royal fortress. Then, just as the speculation hit fever pitch, the palace released a statement. Brief, carefully worded, unapologetically vague. The Prince and Princess of Wales remained focused on their family and public duties. As always, their residential arrangements will reflect what is best for their children and their roles within the royal household. That was it. No denial, no confirmation, no mention of Fort Belvedere, but notably, no mention of Adelaide Cottage, either. To some, it read like a confirmation in disguise. The statement was barely 3 sentences long, but its timing was everything. Released just days after Prince George's birthday, just as speculation reached a deafening pitch, the palace didn't wait for the fire to spread. They poured water on it. Or tried to. But in truth, they may have only added fuel. Because silence is one thing. A carefully worded message is another. Royal insiders say the release wasn't spontaneous. It was deliberate, tactically timed to redirect attention, and perhaps prepare the public for what's coming next. And what is coming next? That's where the real story begins. Because if William and Catherine are truly preparing to leave Adelaide Cottage, the home they once called their family foundation, it isn't just about outgrowing a 4-bedroom house. It's about stepping into something much bigger. This is a move driven by furniture or floor plans. It's a power shift. Strategists familiar with royal communications point to the mounting pressures on the monarchy since King Charles's illness and Princess Catherine's recent health battles. With the king focusing on treatment and the queen consort taking on a larger role, all eyes have slowly, but unmistakably, shifted toward the Waleses, not as support acts, but as the next act, This move to Fort Belvedere or another high-security royal residence could be the beginning of a broader repositioning, an ascension in everything but name. Because when you connect the dots, the picture becomes clear. The palace statement, the public re-emergence of Catherine in carefully chosen moments, supporting the RAF, returning to family-focused initiatives, the deliberate choreography of their children's public appearances, all signs of a couple slowly stepping into the role of monarchy's moral center. They are no longer the fresh-faced newlyweds who charm the world. One royal historian told the Telegraph, they are now the anchors, the ones expected to lead not in a decade, but possibly much sooner. That transformation requires more than speeches and symbolism. It requires space, physical, emotional, and strategic. And Fort Belvedere, or any potential new residence, isn't just about privacy or proximity to Windsor. It's about optics. It's about scale. It's about presence. Adelaide Cottage allowed William and Catherine to live as young parents, protected, grounded, hidden in the green. But that phase may now be over. And the emotional weight of that truth is impossible to ignore, because with every step toward the throne, something else must be left behind. A simpler life, quiet dinners, bike rides without bodyguards, the illusion of normalcy, and perhaps most painfully of all, the little brick cottage that once felt like home. But duty has no patience for nostalgia. So now imagine it, the family of 5, poised at the gates of their next chapter. William, tall and reserved. Catherine, elegant, composed, her strength the moment the news broke. Even in its quiet, careful phrasing, the reaction was immediate and deeply divided. Some celebrated. To them, the move marked a powerful evolution. William and Catherine weren't just holding space anymore. They were stepping into it. One royal commentator put it simply, this isn't a family making a housing decision. It's the future king and queen reshaping the monarchy before our eyes. But not everyone saw it that way. Critics questioned the optics. In a time of economic hardship for many, rising bills, rising discontent, was it really appropriate for the most beloved royals to quietly upgrade to one of the most expansive estates in the Windsor grounds? Even if it was a practical decision, the symbolism was louder than the facts. Because Fort Belvedere isn't a modest family home. It's a fortress, a statement, and for some, that statement rang hollow. So much for being the modern royals. One tweet read, they said they wanted a normal life. Now they're living in the shadow of Edward VIII scandal. Even inside palace walls, though nothing has been said publicly, the silence is telling. Insiders hint at an air of tension, not outright conflict, but subtle shifts. Quiet pauses in conversation. Eyes that linger just a little longer. Because any movement within the royal residences, especially one this loaded with history, is never just about furniture and floor plans. It's about power. And this move, whether intended or not, places William and Catherine firmly in a new position. Not just heirs, but anchors. The Queen is gone. Harry and Meghan are gone. Charles is aging. And so yes, perhaps Fort Belvedere is a strategic move. A long-term base for a future reign. Or maybe, just maybe, it's a retreat disguised as an advancement. A place to shield their children from what's coming next, even as they themselves step further into the glare. One royal biographer put it chillingly. The walls may be grander, but the spotlight is harsher than ever. And in a post-Megxit world, with royal narratives spinning across continents, optics matter more than ever before. The image of a slimmer monarchy was once framed as practical. Fewer working royals, less expense, tighter focus. But for William and Catherine, that slim version of royalty now looks more like a spotlight with no escape. They are the face, the symbol, the story, and every decision they make, where they live, how they dress, how often they speak, will be interpreted 1,000 different ways by 1,000 different audiences. There is no more hiding, no more quaint little cottages at the edge of the estate, only the long walk to the center, and the burden that comes with IT. So what does it mean, really? A family moves house. On the surface, it's domestic, ordinary, almost mundane. But when the family is royal, nothing is ever just about bricks and mortar. Every choice carries weight. Every move is a message, whether whispered or shouted across headlines. Adelaide Cottage was once a symbol of restraint, humility, and privacy. Now, Fort Belvedere looms as something entirely different. Bold, historic, and impossible to ignore. Is this a modern couple claiming their space within a centuries-old institution? Or is it something quieter, more complicated, a necessary shift under the crushing weight of expectation? Because the truth is, William and Catherine aren't just choosing where to raise their children. They're choosing how to carry a legacy. And in doing so, they're shaping the future of the monarchy itself. Will their decisions breathe new life into an ancient institution? Or are they, perhaps unknowingly, repackaging the past, wrapping old power in a more palatable frame? It's a question the world will continue to ask as the crown navigates a new era, without the Queen, without Harry, and under the growing shadow of succession. But one thing is certain. This is not the last move, not the final chapter. The foundations may be laid, but the story is still unfolding, brick by brick, step by step. And in the silence of royal corridors, more changes are coming, more shifts, more choices, more moments that will echo far beyond the walls they're made within. Because in every stone of their new home, there are echoes of the past, underscore and whispers of what's to come.